Finally, I can share my birth story. I'm a month postpartum, and I feel like I want to do this video week 1, week 2, week 3. Here I am, a month, and I finally have some time. I have clean hair, and I can actually just share this story that I've been burning to say and tell everyone. But I do want to say, I think my birth story sort of has 2 sides to it, whereas the first side, or part 1, is like prepping for it, the courses that I've done, whereas part 2 is the wonderful day of meeting our little boy John. I also do want to, I have my laptop here because I have a few notes that I don't want to miss, and also my brain is like scattered at the moment. My birth story is not to show you that I'm brave or to show you that I'm better than anyone or that I accomplished something. I think it's really, I really want to share this because I think this can encourage so many young women who fear birth, who fear so many things around pregnancy and postpartum, and it's really sad because I think that, you know, pregnancy and postpartum, this entire journey has just become a fearful thing for young women. I wanted an unmedicated physiological birth. Now, quite a lot of you ask what is that? It's just an unmedicated birth, going back to how things are supposed to be. Now, in saying that, I'm not going to be saying vagina every second sentence. I'm going to be referring to my birth as a natural birth. I hope that it doesn't offend you. I'm fully aware that whether you have a C-section or vaginal delivery, it's a normal natural birth, but I'm not going to use the word vagina in every second sentence. So I wanted an unmedicated birth for a few reasons, and trust me, I never knew this until like my 2nd trimester. If you ask me in my 1st trimester, everyone asks you like, oh, how do you want to give birth? And I was like, oh, whatever my body decides on the day. I wanted this birth for a few reasons that I had to do a lot of research about, and I felt stupid for doing it because people made me feel stupid for doing it. And I know your mom and your gran could give a natural delivery 30 years ago without any complications, and they didn't have to do a birth prep course. Unfortunately, times has changed, and our C-section rate in our country is extremely high. So I knew that I had to advocate for myself and educate myself on making sure that I can give myself the best possible chance. And that's also why I moved doctors and hospitals at 33 weeks now. I can tell you that was in January. I was due in Feb. It was crazy. It was stressful. It made me anxious, but I knew it was the right decision because after doing my course and the pain-free birth course that I'll link here with my discount code, and doing our prenatal course with our doula, I quickly gained info that my chances are not that great at the care providers that I'm currently with. And even though it could have gone right for me there, I wanted to set myself up for the best possible chance. And that's what I did. I changed hospital, I changed care provider at 33 weeks, and people thought I was batshit for that. But yes, it was the best decision that I ever made. The baby is too big. You need to be induced by 40 weeks. Your cervix is not soft by 36 weeks. These are not medical reasons to have an intervention. And that's what I learned along the way. I did not have any vaginal examinations until the day I was in labor. I had no idea what was going on down there, and I couldn't, I'm so glad about it because I think knowing at 39 weeks or 38 weeks, oh, your cervix, it's not a bloody peach, it can't just ripen. It does happen over time, and that's different for everyone. So for me, I would love to actually share my birth plan, or what I call it is a preference sheet, because the perfect plan doesn't always go according to plan, and I had to prepare for that as well. So I'm going to share that with you guys now, and then I'll let you guys in on the day we make little John. In general, I preferred a physiological unmedicated birth. So this is my preference sheet. And I was fully aware that things could not go this way, but I was also prepared if my plan didn't go according to plan. So I said I preferred a physiological unmedicated birth. Basically unmedicated, not an epidural, not any pain medication except for things like movement and stuff that it's nothing they put into your body, if that makes sense. Encourage my comfort measures where possible. So for example, if I want to squat because it releases pain or it makes it easier, then I want to be able to squat and not have someone tell me I'm not allowed to do it. I want to be allowed to eat and drink in labor ward. Now, for first time mom, I had a 4-hour labor, but the average I think is 18 hours. Now, can you imagine being in labor for 18 hours and not being allowed to eat or drink anything? So I put it on my list. Freedom of movement and limited monitoring. So basically, like you guys will see in the video, They obviously had to monitor John as soon as we got to the hospital, because as you getting contractions, the baby's getting contractions or going through the contractions. So they had to check and monitor him. But that few minutes on the bed was extremely painful. So I asked for intermittent fetal monitoring. So basically, I didn't want to stay on the bed. I wanted to be able to move on my yoga mat and Pilates ball. And then when it was necessary, I would get on the bed. I prefer my water to break on its own, which it did the morning. And then just trusting my body to be instinctual. The ambience, I want a quiet, peaceful room with limited interruptions. Now, the few times that my doctor or Jared or anyone was in and out, like, you immediately are aware of that and you sort of lose focus. And guys, if you lose focus in a contraction, I can tell you that contraction will win you. I wanted limited cervical checks and interventions during my pregnancy, which I had. Just heard John, but Jared's on duty. Minimum intermittent pain relief. I said, please do not offer me the epidural unless asked for. Natural pain relief. I wanted movement, hot therapy, bath or shower, freedom to sit, stand, sit, squat, use a birthing ball. That's exactly what I did. I can't reiterate this enough. As soon as I was on a bed or was not allowed to move in the car on the way to the hospital, it was the most excruciating pain having a contraction. As soon as I moved, I can manage it. And birth, freedom of movement to adjust how I feel comfortable giving birth. Now, I gave birth on my hands and feet, hands and knees. I don't know how to say it, whatever. Anyways, I did not want to be on my back because that's against gravity. And I always say, can you imagine doing your thing while lying in bed? I did not want that for myself. That also leads to more tearing because you're pushing against gravity and. Okay, the ability to push against gravity assisting positions and where I find comfort. Avoid episiotomy, even if it means tearing naturally. Episiotomy, for those who don't know, is when they cut you in your perineum to make sure that there's enough space for the baby to come out. I did not tear, I did not have episiotomy. I wanted uninterrupted golden hour. I wanted to receive all care while John was on my chest, breastfeeding or trying to latch him. And then the umbilical cord, delayed cord clamping, which is something I wanted because I think like 30% of the blood is still in the placenta when he comes out, and that should go into him because it's his blood. So we did that, and we also did the net cells, the stem cells, which I'm so glad we did because we got back the newborn screening results, and just knowing that there's nothing to stress about like genetic tests and illnesses and stuff in the future for him. So that was an incredible experience with net cells. And then postnatal baby, I just said no eye ointment, exclusive breastfeeding is my wish. So if he doesn't latch the first few minutes, don't give him formula unless I say it's okay. That's basically what it meant. And then no bathing John on the first day. I think we already bathed him on like day 4 or 5 at home. So that was my birth preference sheet. What a mouthful. Now we're gonna get to the fun part. And this was the day that we met John and the incredible birth story that I cannot wait to share with you guys. The day we met our son. Now, this was the most incredible experience of my entire life, and it terrified me that I would do it again tomorrow in a heartbeat because it was incredible. It was a Tuesday morning, 7 March. I was 41 weeks that exact day, and a lot of people have asked me if I had baby blues now after John was born, and I was like, no, because I was so sad the last 2 or 3 weeks of my pregnancy, because I went obviously overdue. Every single person that saw me was like, are you still pregnant? Or like, shame, don't you just want a C-section? It's so much easier. I actually couldn't believe the comments people made, but anyways, we got through that last 2 weeks. We just made it because I was not in a good place. I was upside down on here on a ball. Like, I was eating dates, drinking red raspberry tea, doing things with everyone and everything just to get things going. And that morning at 3 a.m, I woke up, I went to the toilet. So I had a pee and I got back in bed, and I was like a sigh because I'm 41 weeks. I knew that if my water was to break, that it will break most likely at night, because that's when your body is relaxed, in a relaxed state, and that's when labor happens. So I got back in bed, yes, at 3:20. I was like sad, I couldn't sleep, and I put in my earphones and I was listening to some like birthing tracks and stuff. And at 3:20, I will never forget that sound. It was like the loudest gush noise that I've ever heard in my entire life, and it did not feel like it was in my body. It felt like it was somewhere in a room, and I just like went like literally like, and I was like, what was that? Obviously Jared was sleeping, it was 3:20. And I felt my water like going. So I like ran to the toilet and I was like, oh, my water broke. And I was like crying and I was happy and I was like anxious and like don't know what to do. Like, is it my water? Is it pee? Like, what color is it? So when your water breaks, it's literally the color of water, which should be. If it's green or brown, it means that your baby's already pooped inside of your stomach. So that's quite dangerous. But it was clear, so I met with my doula, Bronwyn, and I was like, my water just broke. She said, get back in bed. I mean, everyone says get back in bed because you're gonna need the energy. Who the hell can get back in bed when your water just broke and you're 41 weeks pregnant? Anyway, I got back in bed for like half an hour, trying to calm myself down, and so it's 3:20 in the morning. Jared's sleeping. My water just broke, and it's actually like so surreal because I was up at 3 to go pee, and I was just so emotional because every time you wake up for the past month, you're like, don't say anything. So I'm trying to stay really calm. I just put in a pad now in my panty. I'm gonna try my best to go back to sleep and not overthink anything and just reassess when I wake up. So at 5:30 I only started like light cramps, like stomach cramps. I didn't even feel like period cramps. So I woke up, I made myself some tea, I finished my hospital bag, which by the way I didn't need any of those. And then I think Jared woke up at 5 to go to the gym, and like every single morning I used to say to him when he wakes up, we're gonna have a baby today, I hope we have a baby today. And he used to, like, obviously 41 weeks pregnant, he just said to me, it's still a long day, like let's not, you know, let's get our hopes up. And I said, no, we are having a baby today. And he was like, what do you mean? And he was immediately like, what's going on? So I said, no, my water just broke, or not just, it broke this morning at 3 a.m. And he was like, what, where, how? You know, he wanted to know everything. And I was like, relax. Like, he knew. I said to him in our prenatal course that we are not rushing anywhere when your water breaks. It's not like in the hospitals where you have to get an ER bus to drive you to the hospital. Like, you are fine. Like, I haven't had any contractions after my water broke. So around, yeah, like I said, 6, my like light period cramps started. I had like the bloody show, that's what they call it. It was like light pink, and obviously I put in a pad that morning. Oh, by like 5:30 I messaged Bronwyn again. I was like, no signs of anything yet, had the bloody show. She was like, get back in bed. I said, you don't understand, it's 5:30, I'm normally in the gym at this time. Like, I've had my 8 hours of sleep, I'm fine. So I remember, yeah, I just remember trying to be relaxed. I washed my hair, I like curled it, full face of makeup, like I'm going on an outing to meet my son. So it's just before 7, nothing much to report back on. It's my contractions are getting a bit more intense. I'm not timing them yet. I don't want to like put myself on the clock or obsess about anything. Just been using this heat pad on my back, lower back. It is quite on your lower back. And I'm just kind of breathing through them, and yeah, it's very calm. Jared is also going to get ready now, and we're just going to do some last things, maybe go for a walk. We just had coffee and rasks in bed, and I'll update you guys as the day goes on. At around 8, Bronwyn checked in with me again. She was like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? So between 6 and 8, we didn't have any communication. Like, I was showering, having breakfast. And I remember like having my bowl of oats and then say to Jared, like, wait, I just need to stand up, because you just want to like ease the contraction with like a bit of help, but it wasn't painful. So she said at 8, 8:15, she said, go for a walk, not your usual 10k walk. She said, walk around the house. Usually a walk would like speed things up and make it a bit more regular, because at that stage, like, I had mild contractions, but it was like all over the place, like 10 minutes apart, 5 minutes apart, 8 minutes apart. And basically you want your contractions to be consistent. I can't even remember any of this stuff, it's way too long ago. Okay, so I am walking around the block. My contractions are pretty intense. My doula suggested that I just go for like a quick stroll, but I'm not going to make it to the gate, so I'm heading home, as they are quite strong. We did not walk very far, and I had 2 contractions like literally 200 meters from the house, and it was very manageable. That's the thing, is I knew how I was going to manage these contractions because I taught myself how to do it. And it was basically like 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. That's it. That's brilliant. But you need to, it's a contraction is like a little mountain. You need to control that from here, because by the time you get there and you were talking to someone, you had an interruption, you didn't stop breathing, that thing will win you. And then it gets easier, and then you have a break and you can go and pee and you can have some water. But timing your contractions is the biggest tip I can give you, and breathing through them, because if you do not breathe through them, it will be painful. So I'm currently in the guest room downstairs. I just made it nice and dark and just chilled in here. I'm doing a bit of stretching and yoga. My contractions are about 5 minutes apart at the moment, between 5 and 6 minutes apart. I just phoned the hospital and just let them know that I will be coming in later today, but there's absolutely no rush. So yes, I'm drinking lots of water, stretching, keeping everything going, went for a walk. But let me tell you, this is getting intense. So at about 9:15, 9:20, Bronwyn checked in again. We went for a walk, we had breakfast. I said the pain is definitely around 6, 7 out of 10. There's definitely a bit of a pattern or like a rhythm. I'm on my yoga mat. I have my ball with me. I'm in the zone. Earphones in. I said to Jared, like, pack the car, make sure everything is done. Whenever we get to the point where we need to leave immediately. Because I knew that I did not want to go to the hospital when my contractions were 10 minutes apart. Like, I wanted to, looking back, I'd probably leave to the hospital a bit quicker. According to textbook, you need to go to the hospital when your contractions are 5 minutes apart. So 9:30, I said to her, like, contractions are like 4 or 5 minutes apart. I'm very happy to stay home, but I knew it was a 40-minute drive to Cape Town. So I'm just chilling a bit. Yeah, the contractions are getting quite intense and the gaps are getting shorter, so you sort of out of breath afterwards. Not out of breath, just tired. Staying hydrated. And Jared's finishing up. I said to him, I think just finish up everything, and he'll pack the car now, which is where the hospital was, where I moved to. And then she said, let's check in at 10 a.m. So this was like 9:25. 10 to 10, I had 3 contractions, 3 minutes apart. Now that means you are in active labor, as in like get to the hospital. As in like get to the hospital. I said to Jared, we need to leave right now, like right now, pack the car, we need to go. Now the car ride there was not fun. So I had this little, I have it here, let me get it. This little thing saved my life. It's normally in my handbag whenever we go out and I just need to like freshen up. It's always with me. And I read on Instagram, or like saw a reel somewhere and said like, if you put this against your palm, obviously pressure points, and guys, I almost had holes in my hands. But in the car, this was my savior, because I literally was hanging on every time you get a contraction. And the reason why the car contractions were so painful is because you did not have movement, you did not have breathing, because like you also have distractions and someone talking and traffic and red lights and whatever. So those were quite painful. We had to phone the hospital and be like, listen, we are on the way. And we also phoned my mom. And while I was talking to my mom, I was like, Mom, I need to go, I'm getting a contraction. So luckily you have your phone and you can see you're getting them every 3 minutes. So you know more or less when he's coming. So you can stop talking, put the phone down, start breathing. And that's what I did. And this little guy saved me. Don't ask me where I got this. From a hair salon, from a Clicks, whatever. Anyone that can go into your hand will save your life. Okay, so it's just past 10. We are on the way to the hospital. My doula is also on her way. I phoned the labour ward. My contractions are currently about 3 minutes apart. Let me just tell you, having contractions in the car is not fun. I have about 2 minutes between them to just sort of get catch my breath and focus again. But yeah, this is getting quite intense. I've got my heat pad around my stomach because it's really sore. So we'll check into the hospital in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Jared's driving like 400 kilometers an hour. So we left at 10 to 10. We got to the hospital 27 minutes past 10. There was no parking. There was not a disabled parking available in front of the door. There was nothing. My contractions were like 2.5 minutes apart and it was intense. So I said to Jared, drop me off with all of my bags and find parking. I know that I'll have 2 to 3 contractions here in the next 10 minutes and I can manage it. So I was chilling in the parking lot at the entrance, like literally at the front door. But there was no measures for me or no like things for me to hold on to or to like rest against, because you cannot stand up straight when your contractions are 3 minutes apart or 2 by that stage. So they were really painful. So I had one, and then I had another one, and then I phoned Jared and I said, just park anywhere, like come and help me. And the weirdest thing to me is like there was literally an entire passage full of people. There was glass between us, and no one helped me. No, everyone just looked at me. Like, you can see I'm in labor. I'm 41 weeks pregnant. I'm ginormous. Help me. So by the 3rd or 4th contraction, there was a security guard, and I just screamed, help me! And I like screamed.
Yesterday when I was here, what did I do outside? 24 hours ago, I was crying. Help me!
Screamed, and she came and she like carried my bags to the lift that went up to labor ward. So Jared wasn't there. He was still looking for parking. Anyway, so got to the labor ward. They were like, oh, Mrs. Free, you need to check in. I was like, there's not time to check in. Get me to my labor ward. And I just asked for my ball and my mat. That's all I wanted to do, was just like hang, because it was the only thing for me that released the pain. So within 10 minutes after that, Jared came in, Bronwyn arrived. It was obviously, I phoned her on the way to the hospital and said, like, we're leaving now, you need to leave now, we'll meet you there. So we were at the hospital about 10:30. 10:45, the midwife comes, obviously need to monitor me and like to make sure the baby is okay, and he was absolutely fine. Only at 11:15 my doctor came, and she's like, okay, cool, we need to examine you to see how far you're dilated. Now the scale's 0 to 10, and normally when a first time mom comes to the hospital, it's like you're 2-3 centimeters dilated and you're going to be there for 12 hours. She examined me and I was 8 centimeters dilated. But at that stage, like, I knew I was in active labor because you can obviously feel it. Jared and Ron were like, what? That's insane. Oh my word. And I was just sitting there like, don't obsess over a number, because I knew that if it was 3 centimeters, I would be so disappointed and I'd spend the entire day fussing over a number. So anyway, I just ignored it. I was like, cool, I'm 8 centimeters dilated, just stay focused. So 11:15, the doctor said, well, I'll be back in 2 hours. Jared, you need to go check Yulene in because you haven't done that. There wasn't time. And Bronwyn, make sure Yulene maybe put some hot water on her, like get in the bath or shower, whatever. So obviously if you have period cramps, you use a warm bag to release that. So that's why a lot of people get into a bath or shower. So I didn't have a preference to have a birth in water, but I had the availability of a bath if I wanted to, which was incredible. So I got in the bath, but I found it really uncomfortable. And I was quite claustrophobic because it was quite hot, and you obviously get contractions by that stage. There's like 5-second breaks in between. So I just couldn't find my position. I remember like I was back and forth in the bath, but I was there for like 15 minutes probably. And when the doctor left and Jared left, she said, if Yulene has the urge to poop, call the doctor. I was like, cool. I've heard that apparently you have the urge to poop. So anyway, I was in there for like I said, 10 or 15 minutes, and I said to Bronwyn, so my doula was with me this entire time, and she was like pouring warm water on my back and like just helping me get through them. Okay, so we have a little friend here because he woke up now and he wants me. He'll probably drink soon, so I'll have to make this quick. Anyways, so I was in the bath, and obviously they said to me, like, if you have the urge to poop, tell the doctor. And I was like, Bronwyn, I need to get on the bed. I'm really uncomfortable. I need to be on hands for or on a bowl or whatever. She said, and so then I got onto the bed, and I was, this is not gonna work. I'll have to write this up a bit later. Okay, so that's life at the moment. I think this is like 6 hours after I shot the first part. Anyways, so I'll just recap that. I got in the bath, it was 11:15, I was 8 centimeters dilated. Jared left, the gynecologist left, it was me and the doula in the bath. She wasn't in the bath, I was in the bath. I knew I was transitioning and the end was near, like you could feel it. The contractions, someone asked me the other day in a DM, like, how painful is it? And I saw a funny thing that's saying, like, it's the same as sex, depends who you're with, what position you're in. And that really is the truth. Like, the contractions were quite intense in the car and on the bed while they were monitoring me. And unfortunately, so many women have to give birth on their back, and I would never have been able to do this if I had to be on my back for the entire 3 hours. Movement to me was like crucial. Like, I screamed out for help if I was not able to move enough. So 11:15, 8 centimeters dilated, Jared and them left. Within 5 minutes, I said to Bronwyn, listen, I think I've got the urge to poop. It feels like everyone says it feels like you're gonna poop. It's similar, but it's not the same, but it's like in your lower back. And I said to her, I've got that, and she said, okay, right, let's get out of the bath. So I got onto bed, and she looked at me and she said, get into the position that you are comfortable in. So I initially thought maybe on my side, and that wasn't comfortable at all. And I was leaning over the bed, like hands as you would over a Pilates ball. Anyways, and she asked me like, how are you feeling? And I just said like, I can't talk to you. Like, there were really short snippets that you don't have a contraction at that stage. Like, I knew that he was close. So, and then like a few seconds after, I said, I've got the urge again. And like, it sort of like built up. Yeah, it builds up, and then, you know, like, it's here. And I just heard her saying to the midwife, get the doctor here. And at that stage, you have like 3 seconds between contractions, and it took everything in my body, and I just screamed, get my husband here, like in agony. And like, I knew like I would be able to catch this baby. I need my husband here. So they got the doctor, they got Jared. This was about 11:45. And that day, Jared decides, oh no, I'm not going to answer a random phone number. So they tried to call him, I think, 3 times. Between 11:45, he was born 3 minutes after 12. I mean, it's a blur. Like, you're in a total trance zone. Like, I don't remember much of that time. I remember vividly Jared coming in and asking me, like, how are you? Like, I love you. Like, are you okay? And I just said, don't touch me. Like, I'm so hot. And I remember asking him, like, just take off my bra. And I was like holding onto Bronwyn's hand, and poor Jared didn't want to see anything, but he was forced to because he was standing at the back and I was on hands 4, whereas he prepared himself that I would be on my back and he would just stand by my side. Anyway, so the doctor came in and she said to me like, hi Eileen, it's the doctor here. And I remember like hearing her, but I couldn't respond. Like, I was really out of it. But not in a negative way. Like, I was really in the zone, focusing on breathing. So at that stage, it was just like, you know, like breathing your baby down instead of pushing. So when you push many times, that's when you tear. And I really didn't want to tear. So the doctor came in and she examined me again. She's like, and she said, you're 10 centimeters, but the head's here. So I knew like I was a few pushes away, breaths away. And I think it was 5 or 6 exhales or sets of 8 seconds exhale. And then he was out. But in that time, like, obviously I've watched birth stories and Instagram stuff. So I knew that babies are a bit purple when they come out. And obviously his head was out. And Jared has not watched those stuff with me. And Jared just said, you need to push. And like, I remember like laughing inside of me because I knew the end was near. But I knew he was okay. Like, his head was out, but the entire body still had to come out. And yes, with the next breath, he came out, and I had the most beautiful, like, I remember like I started crying and Jared cried, and he was on, I actually sort of like caught him a bit, like they like passed him onto me, like they never actually caught him, they like passed him onto me, and I just held him sitting like this, and your entire body is like shivering because obviously you just push out a baby. And they like helped me to get on my back, and he was on me, and within within the first hour, like, he was looking for my boob and he latched. I remember the nurse was like trying to help me, and I just said to her, please leave, like, I'll figure it out myself. Because that was really important for me I really wanted to breastfeed. But I knew that there was a chance that I couldn't breastfeed, and I was fine with that as well. So he latched. We did the delayed cord clamping, as I mentioned. They didn't weigh him until 2 hours after he was born, because there's no reason to take a baby away from his mother in the first few minutes after birth unless there are complications or the baby needs to be examined. And that was really important for me, because as much as you as a mother have an experience a birth experience, the baby also has a birth experience. And I do believe that that entire process has made an impact on how John is, on how calm he is, because it's also a traumatic experience for a baby as it is for a mother. So John was born 3 minutes past 12. According to my app, I was in active labor for 3 hours, but I mean, it was 8 to 12 pretty much, which is really quick for a first-time mom. I did eat a shit ton of dates the last 4 weeks of my pregnancy. I had red raspberry leaf tea. I did the mile circuit. I was curb walking at 41 weeks. I seduced Jared in any possible way. So, I mean, you never know. Like, I had a burger the night before I had John. So I can now say, oh, a burger will help you induce labor. I don't know how many of those things are true. But I mean, you have nothing to lose. And that's sort of the mindset I had. I know dates have, has a bit of, what do you call it, research around it or evidence. But I had a beautiful labor, and I really do think it's because I prepared for it. And a lot of people think they prepare for it. They're like, I want a natural delivery, but they don't know the system in our country at the moment and the high C-section rates. A lot of women, you know, a lot of women came to me when I was pregnant, and some of my closest friends, and they said to me, oh, how are you going to give birth? And I was like, oh, I really want to do, I really want to have a vaginal delivery. And like, oh yeah, these two friends of mine also wanted it. Just prepare yourself for an emergency C-section. Like, that's so discouraging to hear, and that's so sad. And I was 100% happy if I had to have a C-section. I just knew that I wanted to have the best possible shot at a vaginal delivery, and that's why I moved to doctors and hospitals. Would I have been able to deliver this baby with unmedicated, skin to skin, no episiotomy, not pushing on my back? I don't know. I can't answer that question for you, but I highly doubt it. And to me, the most important thing, if you are pregnant and you're watching this video, advocate for yourself. Do you have to do the most expensive courses and everything? Probably not, but if you are as adamant as I was to have a beautiful delivery, and I was really lucky to have my plan go according to plan, and I know for a lot of women it's not possible. But I have a live scheduled very soon with Karen, who is the founder and owner of Pain Free Birth, which is the course that I did. And she also gave me a 15% discount code to offer all South Africans, which I really, I'm so excited about that, because I didn't realize how little women actually still give natural birth in our country. And I don't find it sad. I didn't know why. And now I know why, because I did the course. There's an entire chapter about red flags to look out for in a hospital setup. So I think sitting here as, you know, a first-time mom, I'm extremely proud of myself for taking ownership and making that tough decisions that I did. And it was hard on Jared as well. Like, I remember I mentioned in my Instagram, like, he said to me one day, like, don't you just want to give birth in a bush? Because men don't go through the emotions. They don't know the benefits of certain things. So my advice for you as a mom or soon to be mom, and to get your husband involved is crucial. Like, he has to be involved to support you. Ease him into it. Don't throw him in at the deep side. Men are sensitive to content like this, trust me. But here I am. John is healthy. I'm healthy. I'm 4 and a bit weeks postpartum, like 100% recovered. I can probably run tomorrow, but I don't want to, because emotionally I'm not there yet. But yes, I really just hope that this video will show you that it is possible.